Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the difference between laws that are legislated and clearly codified and what's become an issue in the era of globalist activism, which is something that can be described as administrative law. That is, a law that can be changed, where its very essence and application can be changed or simply invented without going through the proper legislative process. So this is something well, let me go back a little bit further. Clearly codified law without any ambiguity or any, but clearly codified law becomes a contract between the governing and the governed. And when you get enough of these laws together, it's a de facto constitution in effect, because it's very clearly codified, and the apparatus of the state, the police and the courts and so on, the prosecutors' departments, the public defenders' department, they all have that very clearly codified law, which is an utterly objective measurement of did a crime take place or not, what was the extent of the crime. If a certain threshold is met of this very clearly codified law, then the penalties are a fine or so many years in prison or whatever. But it's very clear and very codified, very precise, very exact. So this becomes a contract. So the people who make the laws, the legislators, the lawmakers in Congress, they're every bit as beholden to adhere to and abide by and uphold that law as any citizen is, as any police officer is, or any judge or any prosecutor or so on. So, and it's by this measure that we determine and separate the guilty from the innocent. But there's a difference when administrative law is brought in. This is where the people in authority don't want to have to go through the legislative process. They're either lacking in confidence that they could get what they wanted through that process, or that they think it may engender bad publicity, or it's just going to take too long and they can't be bothered. We want to do this today. Screw the democratic process, screw the legislature, screw the lawmakers, we'll just fucking do it. And we're seeing this very much as the globalization project sort of bites deeper and deeper into the Western political and legal system. We're seeing this administrative law happening more often and in many different areas, and in the key areas where the globalists want to bite hard. And this could be in the area of, for example, climate change, race and social, spreading race and social division, and the gun control is an example in the US recently. The idea of ghost guns. They've just invented this ghost guns, but they're using other laws and trying to piggyback the ghost gun issue into another law to try and change the meaning and application of that law. So if you buy, as I understand it, if you buy parts that may be used to build a gun or modify a gun or something like that, then that's equivalent to buying a gun, and therefore different laws or restrictions that apply to another law should apply to this. But the definition is extremely vague. What exactly is this ghost gun? Where did the term ghost gun even come from? Sounds like something a marketing bimbo in the West Wing made up. It doesn't. The law must be precise if the contract between the government and the governed is to be maintained. That's the whole idea of having a legislature. But by executive action or executive order by just sheer activism operating outside of the law, as Merrick Garland in the United States and the FBI in setting up that Whitmer kidnapping fiasco, or the prosecutors chasing after Kyle Rittenhouse. What all this shows is these people are quite prepared, more than prepared, to operate outside of the law and the clearly codified laws. And what they want is vague laws that are written as being extremely vague without precise definitions. And that allows them to act administratively. So instead of going to the legislature, they can say, well, gun means flying elephants, because we say it does. We say that's what it means. And this therefore allows us to arrest people who aren't flying elephants. So they can simply make another, flying elephants is of course absurd, but to make a different interpretation on any phrase or half-part definition that may be in a law, and then use that administratively determined redefinition to effectively craft a new law, but a law that has no definition. So when they drag it into court, assume it even gets there, they may use it to browbeat some poor schmuck in a plea deal, but they can then use that vague definition to then arbitrarily apply the law against people they don't like. So this is what administrative law means. You see it in other areas too. Say if they want to go after black men for child support payments, say, and the guy has moved to Canada, they want to be able to say, well, we say he owes child support, so we're going to send a letter to the Canadian National Prosecutors Department to go after this guy, and they can just arbitrarily detain, arrest, or seize his assets or his bank accounts and so on, without it having to be proved in a court of law. The only proof required is that they got a letter from the American Justice Department to go after him. So they can just deal with it administratively. So there doesn't have to be a special law passed that says, hey, can somebody just come along and say that guy's wanted for money overseas, and we just act as a collection agency for them? Can we really do that? What about this guy's legal rights? That's all gone. So they can just administratively do this to a private citizen who may not even be guilty of anything. So if this particular black man wants to unwind all this, he has to go back to the United States, fight it all through the court system there, and then try and deal with it, which it will take years and cost a fortune, and be hugely disruptive to his life and trample on every one of his natural rights. So that's an example of how that matter can be done administratively. Here's another one along the same subject. So a woman goes in to collect government benefits of some sort, some sort of social security, welfare or whatever, and she says, well, I want to claim for a child as well. And so they say, well, look, you're not going to get a penny for the child unless you name the biological father here. Well, I don't know who it is. Might be Billy Bob from so-and-so. And so she's got to sign a form. And so they say, well, you can't get any money until you sign that form to say it's Billy Bob. But I don't know if it's Billy Bob. Hey, we don't care who it is, but you're not getting any money till you sign that form. Oh, wow. And the minute she signs the form, it therefore is now, in an administrative sense, that is now a legal document. Billy Bob is now culpable and liable for that payment. It doesn't matter where he's the guy. That's academic now. It makes no difference. No court action is required to determine it. No proof is necessary. So Billy Bob, when they eventually catch up with him, who knows nothing about it, it's maybe 10 years back payment of child support with a bit of alimony or something thrown in, and he owes that, and it's now, that's it, it's done. That the signing of that form, which the woman was pretty much forced to sign, otherwise she wouldn't have got any money, that form that she signed is now unimpeachable evidence. It's never been tested in court. Nothing's been proven. It's just she said it and signed a form under duress. So Billy Bob then has to spend years working through the courts at his own time and expense to disprove it. So he has to act legally, but the state can act administratively, and increasingly, this is how the globalists want it. Administratively, and increasingly, this is how the globalists want it, that they can act arbitrarily and administratively. They can shut your bank account down, they can clear your bank account out, they can evict you from here, they can do this, do that, and they can do it all administratively, because they can say, well, you're a racist, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi, you voted for Trump. This now gives us the right to act arbitrarily as we see fit. But if you don't like what we're doing, you have to take it to court at your own time and expense and get a judge to say that our administrative act that we just did without any real evidence or any proof of anything, that our acting administratively can be overturned by a judge in a court of law. We see this examples of this, say, in the January 6th thing, where there was a lot of the alleged criminal acts were low-level trespass at best, but they were simply asserted and then packaged up with other stuff. Well, okay, so maybe you entered the building and trespassed, but you were associating with somebody we say was a Nazi. So you're hanging out with Nazis. You're hanging out with Nazis, that makes you a Nazi, which means you're Hitler. So next thing you know, the guys, and they can act administratively on this. They don't have to prove this. That's enough to detain you for quite a while. So effectively suspending habeas corpus. And this form of administrative law and application of it, but with the full force of the state, as in arrest, imprisonment, detention, that sort of thing, that's something that the globalists need and want as part of implementing the globalist project. So administrative law is what they want. And you see administrative law in any autocratic society. And increasingly the West is demonstrating those sort of autocratic behaviours. Now, they're going to hide behind things like, well, we only did it to save everybody. It was a health emergency. We were saving little babies. You want the little babies to die from this, you damn fascist Nazi. They can hide behind all that sort of stuff. But the reality is they're acting arbitrarily and administratively without reference to the legislature, and through passing laws through proper debate and so on, under the full scrutiny of an independent media. So that's the direction we're heading in, and we're going there at a rate of knots. And the only place that's going to lead to is a bad place. You've been with Tasseless today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.